Welcome everybody. Welcome from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. My name's Scott and it's great to have you here today. Once again, we're looking at our urban parking system repository and we're using Enterprise Architect by Sparx Systems. I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire, who's going to step through some custom diagrams. So welcome, Stephen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for the introduction. And as always, very glad to be here sharing knowledge. Let's dive into this now because it's a very exciting part of the tool. The use of it is to be able to create diagrams, the kind of diagrams that people put into all sorts of documents and they create in general diagramming tools. So there is a belief that people can't do that kind of thing in Enterprise Architect, and it is a fallacy, Scott. You can create some absolutely fantastic diagrams that are not constrained by the languages and the formats of the frameworks and modeling languages like UML and BPMN. So let's get started. Always, I'm going to set my perspective. So up here in the top right-hand corner of the application, we see that I have a perspective web model. So I've been doing some web modeling earlier today, but we're going to look at a different type of diagram. And here we say analysis and custom draw style. So let's have a look at that. The tool automatically changes its shape to reflect that focus on custom drawing. And we've got a number of patterns in here that show us all sorts of things that we can draw with this. But as always, Scott, I want to work from first principles. So we're going to close that for a minute. We're going to focus on creating a diagram. So let's go and find a place for this in our repository. We do that inside the project browser. So here we've got some analysis models. I'm going to put it into the analysis models group and move this over a little bit, showing the flexibility VA to customize your workspace. So under analysis models, I'm going to create another package there. And this time I'm going to say create package and diagram. So I'll give it a name and I'll call it channel reservations. And what's going to pop up is now a option there to say we just want a simple diagram, and let's go and create that diagram. So you can see that we've got a blank canvas now. Now, curiously, normally what happens is we get a toolbox that shows us the kind of things that we can put into the diagram. The thing I want to drive home today, Scott, is the fact that this type of diagram you can apply to any of the other diagrams that you've drawn. So any elements that you put on here will be drawn in a custom style. So
how do you switch the toolbox to go to different features?
Yeah, so let's have a look at that. Yeah, let's have a look at that, Scott. We can go here and say change the perspective, and we could say, look, let's get into a whiteboard mode there. And we could, look at the whiteboard, and that will bring up a whole lot of things there, particular shapes for general purpose drawing. And we could change perspective into UML structural, and that will give us all of the things that we've.
So you're really not limited. You can just switch the toolbox up to meet your particular needs.
Exactly, Scott. Exactly right. So if we look at what's actually happened under the hood, and I like to do this because I think it's important for people to realize that any of their diagrams that they've drawn, they could actually apply a custom style to. So over here in the properties window, I've just left clicked in some blank canvas space, and in the properties window for the diagram, you can see that the custom style has been checked, and that's what's driving the change. So we're going to have a look what's going to happen now. I'm going to put another package in here for what I'm going to call channels. So this diagram is going to be looking at the way that people can book or interact with the urban parking system. So we'll call this channels, and I will I don't want a diagram there, so I'll just cancel the builder. And if I look here, I'm just going to show you something quickly, Scott, that's going to make this very obvious. When I turn off the custom style and I drag this package channels onto the diagram, and I'll say package element, you can see that it's got the folder shape, which is the default shape or representation of a package in the unified modeling language. But that isn't something that we want in this diagram. Our diagram, just to put everything into perspective, is a diagram that's aimed at the business people or people, non-technical audiences that want to get a view in a very simple and engaging way. So let's have a look what happens when we turn on the diagram custom style. You can see now that the package representation has gone away, and all I've got is a simple rectangle. So let's leave that on for the moment, and let's have a look at this rectangle. What I want to do is I want to make this rectangle a little bit more compelling, a little bit nicer for a business audience. I'm going to drag it out to about this shape because I'm going to put some things inside it. And now I've got another icon that pops up here on the right-hand side of the element. And there are a number of things that I can do. The first thing I want to do is change it into a rounded rectangle. The next thing I want to do is I want to put the name that's in the middle there, I want to put that in a different location. So we've got a whole range of different locations here. I can say, top left. I can say, bottom right. I can even say custom, which will allow me to put it anywhere that I like. But I'm going to put it up in the top center, and it's there. And I'm going to change the border of that. I find that border a bit too strong. So we've got a number of different options I'll go through here. We've got a dash, solid dash, dot. So let's do that. And there are a number of things here as well. We could make it stacked and directions and all sorts of other things, transparencies. Let's leave it at that for the moment, but choose this other icon here to look at the line color. So let's have a look at the line color, and let's put it like that, and let's make it a little bit thicker, maybe even up to that level. And now you can see that the package element that you saw before has a completely different representation.
So it looks vastly different, but you can still find the package from that element on the diagram.
Exactly, Scott. I can just say, find in project browser, and it takes me straight to that. And remember, there's a quick way to find the element. If I was, somewhere else in the model and I clicked on this, I can just use this locate browser, and that will locate the package for me. But just to refresh everyone's mind, if I turn this off again, I go back to a package. Some of those line styles and things apply in the other presentation, but there it is. Let's get started with this, and let's drag a class onto this diagram, and we'll put it there, and let's call it smartphone reservations. Okay, so we'll put that on there now. Let's come up there. Let's apply an image to this so that we can look at making the diagram more compelling. Now remember, Scott, we have looked in previous videos at our libraries here, and we've got a number of things: checklist, lists, image assets, and legends. Let's have a look at our image assets, and let's see if we can find an icon that might be useful for that. Internet reservations. Let's choose that one. It's kind of close. And we've got the option here to set it as an icon, to set it as an alternate image, to add an element. We've already got an element, so let's set as an alternate image. And you can see now that that image has gone in and replaced the very vanilla.
Looks perfect.
Yeah. So we can also go in here and say, show the name under the image. So I want to do that. And I want to change the font color. So I'll do that as well. And I'll say, look, I want this font color there. And I'll just change I just want to put that back to default. And that's the font color I wanted to change. So you can see that's changed underneath the image there. Let's put a few more classes on. Let's make this one into the, have a look. I think we'll do a call center reservation. So the urban parking system does allow people to book register and make bookings by calling a call center. So again, we'll make this call center reservations. And I might use capital letters there. So let me just go back with that. And very flexible here, Scott. I can just quickly change these things. Call center reservations, and let's put an icon in for that as well. So we've got reservation call center there. This could be applied to any element in the repository, but I'm going to drag it in again, put it on that one, set as an alternate image, and again go through that same process of appearance, show name under, and I'll change the font of this one quickly to that other color. And whoops, I did the same thing I did before. I'm going to change, that's changing the fill, and I actually want to change the font color there. So there it is. I'm going to put one more on there, which is our I guess it's what we call our office, city office reservations. So let's do that. We drag another class here, and we'll put it city office reservations, and there we have it. Same thing again. Let's look for an image that we can find in the browser, internet, smartphone, office registrations. There we go. Put that on, set as an alternate image, put it there. Let's show the image underneath, and let's just use some of our line alignment tools to say, look, we'll align these guys. Turn that one off. Align these guys centrally. So I go to the layout ribbon, the alignment panel, align them center, space them evenly down, and we've got that. I might move them all down just a fraction here, and again, I can change the font of my package there and say, look, I want it to be bold, I want it to be 12, and let's change the color there to something else. We'll go for this teal color again, and you can see now that that's a very different looking diagram. So what's happened is that these elements have gone into the same location in the repository as the diagram, and we can just simply multi-select them all and drag them under channels. Now I'm going to create another. Another package in here for reservations. So I'll just simply call this parking reservations. Very simple to create a package, parking reservations. And notice I previously clicked the option to create a diagram. I just want the package this time. Let's do that. And let's drag another class onto the diagram here, and we'll call it parking reservations. And so the story goes on. We're building up a narrative, telling a story, and let's have a look what we can do with this element. So again, we've got this icon here. Let's make it into a rounded rectangle, and let's change the stack here. So we can say stacks, and this sort of creates a layered effect, if you like, in the model. So we go 4 there, and we've got the direction of that. We can say northeast, northwest, which is going to set the stacks, whether they're going back to the right or the left, essentially. We'll leave it as northeast there, and let's have a look what's happened. So we've got these stacks. We want to make this a little bit bigger. Simply doing that will make it slightly bigger, and let's change the color. So we can do it from this little icon here. Let's change it into that one. Or it's a little bit too dark, maybe this one. And let's set the font as well. So let's say we want the font to be white to show up on there, and let's make it into bold, and maybe we'll go for 10 to make it a little bit more striking. Now I can change the line color as well. That's kind of an interesting thing to do. So the default line color, let's make it white. It's going to show up a little bit better when we do that. But you can see now
that's given it a bit more depth now that you change the color.
Yeah, and it's indicating from a narrative point of view that there isn't just one parking reservation, but there's many of them. And now we can just simply use lines to join these elements up. And again, of course, with the layout ribbon, we can change aspects of the lines. Let's make this into this teal color, and maybe just up one level there. And we can change the line style, which is just part of any diagramming, and let's change it to orthogonal rounded there. And we can move this up and create this kind of look, and we can join all of those elements up into a tree like that. We'll set the font back a little bit. That 3 is a bit too strong. Great flexibility. I can just do that. I'm going to put on a direction as well. Let's say it's from destination to source, and the arrow head goes in there, and you can see that that relationship is showing up. So there are lots and lots of things that we can do with this diagram. And so what I'm going to do, Scott, is I'm going to now complete the diagram, but I'll get you to perform some magic with the time, and let's do that. Let's have a look at the finished diagram. I'll get you to do some magic.
Will do. Oh, welcome back, Stephen. I've performed a little bit of magic, and I can see that we've made a few changes to the diagram, and we've added a motorist and a car and a parking reservation system and social media aggregator and a few other things. I know that you've added a few alternative images, but could you perhaps show us how you can add an icon as well?
Yeah, great question, Scott. So I have added images, and sometimes that's a very compelling and powerful thing to do to get a message or to tell a story. But there is the opportunity to create icons in standard elements. So let's take this social media aggregator here. So what we can do is we can say, look, we do want to use an image on this, but we don't want it to take up the entire rounded rectangle. So again, we go to our image library and we look at that one there, and we find an image that looks useful. So the social media one would be useful. Let's drag that onto the element, and you notice a little menu will pop up, and it says set as an icon, alternate image, add an element. Let's choose the icon there and see what happens. So it's popped up into that corner. Now we can decide where we want to put that. Let's have a look at, again, some of our options. Remember, this first one is the shape. The second one is the transparency. The third one is the position of the label or the name. This one here, vertical clockwise, the text direction and things. And here we've got something to do with the icon. So we can put the size of the icon in there, and we can put its position, and we can put the padding. So let's go for the position for the top right in this case. Yeah, and that will move it over there. But see how it's kind of, it's up against the edge of that border. Let's see what we can do with some padding. Let's put in 4 pixel padding, and you can see now that that pushes it down. It might be a little bit close to the edge, and so we can just have a play with that and go, look, 3 pixels is enough, and so that gives it a different view. Now, Scott, the thing that I want to talk about with this diagram is that this isn't a diagram like a class diagram. You don't, go and say, well, I'm going to create a custom diagram, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's like a particular type of diagram that belongs to a language or a framework. The designers of the tool have made this available for any diagram. So if I went into any diagram, I can change it into a custom style diagram, or I can choose to pick a particular element in there. Let's just have a very quick look at that because it's worth looking at. The structural models, let's have a look at a class diagram here, and one here for the object model for parking spaces. Well, actually, that's not a particularly good one. Let's look at the class model there. So we have this model, but I can change the entire diagram to a custom style, and I can just click on that property, and you can see that that's what happens. But I can also, in a very flexible way, just change the one element in the diagram into a custom style. So let's choose this. We had that vehicle there. Let's right mouse click on that and say, appearance here, and we can say enable custom drawing style. And that gives me, great flexibility there. I can now do exactly what I did in the example that we've been doing, and I can say, look, let's choose a green car, and let's drop that onto it, and then we can say set as alternate image, and you can see now that that's changed that in this diagram. But the rest of the diagram
mix and match.
The same. Absolutely, Scott. You can mix and match with it, and enables you to pull icons from different frameworks into the model. And at any point, I can just put that back and say, look, I don't want that appearance anymore. I want it to be back into my other view. So that's it about custom drawing style, and I hope that people will see the great use of this diagram style to embellish and to make diagrams more appealing to the audience and tell the story that you really want to tell about your project or endeavor.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It really makes diagrams leap off the page. It makes them bright and colorful, and I could understand that a business audience or non-technical audience could really consume this and not actually understand the depth and complexity that sits underneath it. So great for readability and great for understanding. So thanks, Stephen. Well, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this video today. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. We always love getting feedback from you, hearing about other video ideas that you might like to see in the future. As always, thank you very much, Stephen. If you want to reach out to Stephen for his modelling expertise, his LinkedIn details and credentials are listed below. Thanks for your help today creating custom diagram. It's great to see it all come together and look so appealing. So thank you, Stephen.
Always a pleasure, Scott.